attention. For 2 minutes, you say, I want you to stand like this, and it's going to make you feel more powerful. So this is what we did. We decided to bring people into the lab and run a little experiment. And these people adopted for 2 minutes either high power poses or low power poses. And I'm just going to show you 5 of the poses, although they took on only 2. So here's one, a couple more. This one has been dubbed the Wonder Woman by the media. Here are a couple more.
I've seen
So you can be
this.
standing or you can be sitting. And here are the low power poses. You're folding up, you're making yourself small.
Wow.
This one is very low power. When you're touching your neck, you're really kind of protecting yourself.
Low power is gonna be why? What's this?
Oh, that.
Very low.
Very low. Why? What are you protecting?
Your artery.
Jugular artery. The most exposed that you can be, like say in battle or whatever. Okay. So low power would be wow. You don't even realize it, and you're over here protecting your jugular.
Wow. Was that, did you feel that too? It was just nerves.
You have to understand, low power pose, she's just saying she's sitting there and then she just starts to do this, right? And that means that she's feeling at the moment, like very insecure or whatever, but not and anxious. She's real anxious. Is that what you're trying to say? Like anxiety, and she's really running hard. But here she's just kind of covering it, and that tells you that she's probably, it's subconscious. You know what I mean? Your subconscious doesn't even explain why you're doing it. All right? But at the moment, that's what your whole body's telling your rest of your body to do. Cover all your weak spots. Because you're anxious right now. That's when your cortisol is way up, okay? Cortisol is way up. I do this, it's okay. I'm saying your subconscious thinks so.
So this is what happens. They come in, they spit into a vial. We, for 2 minutes, say, you need to do this or this. They don't look at pictures of the poses. We don't want to prime them with the concept of power. We want them to be feeling power, right? So 2 minutes, they do this. We then ask them, how powerful do you feel in a series of items? And then we give them an opportunity to gamble. And then we take another saliva sample. That's it. That's the whole experiment. So this is what we find. Risk tolerance, which is the gambling. What we find is that when you have a high power pose condition, 86% of you will gamble. When here's what you get on cortisol. High power people experience about a 25% decrease, and the low power people experience about a 15% increase. So 2 minutes lead to these hormonal changes that configure your brain to basically be either assertive, confident, and comfortable, or really stress reactive, and feeling sort of shut down. We've all had that feeling, right? So it seems that our nonverbals do govern how we think and feel about ourselves. So it's not just others, but it's also ourselves. Also, our bodies change our minds. But the next, of course, is, can power posing for a few minutes really change your life in meaningful ways? So this is in the lab, it's this little task, it's just a couple of minutes. Where can you actually apply this, which we care about, of course. And so we think it's really what matters and where you want to use this is evaluative situations, like social threat situations. Where are you being evaluated? Either by your friends, like for teenagers at the lunchroom table. It could be, for some people, it's speaking at a school board meeting. It might be giving a pitch or giving a talk like this or doing a job interview. We decided that the one that most people could relate to, because most people had been through, was the job interview. So we published these findings, and the media are all over it, and they say, okay, so this is what you do when you go in for the job interview, right? So we were, of course, horrified and said, oh my God, no, that's not what we meant at all, for numerous reasons No, 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 don't do that. Again, this is not about you talking to other people, it's you talking to yourself. What do you do before you go into a job interview? You do this, right? You're sitting down, you're looking at your iPhone or your Android, not trying to leave anyone out. You're looking at your notes, you're hunching up, making yourself small, when really what you should be doing maybe is this, like in the bathroom, right? Do that, find 2 minutes. So that's what we're gonna test, okay? So we bring people into the lab and they do either high or low power poses again. Also, and the judges are trained to give no nonverbal feedback. So they look like this. Like imagine this is the person interviewing you. So for 5 minutes, nothing. And this is worse than being heckled. People hate this. It's what Marianne LaFrance calls standing in social quicksand. So this really spikes your cortisol. So this is the job interview we put them through because we really wanted to see what happened. We then have these coders look at these tapes, 4 of them. They're blind to the hypothesis, they're blind to the conditions. They have no idea who's been posing in what pose. And they end up looking at these sets of tapes and they say, oh, we want to hire these people, all the high power posers. We don't want to hire these people. We also evaluate these people much more positively overall. But what's driving it? It's not about the content of the speech. It's about the presence that they're bringing to the speech. We also, because we rate them on all these variables related to sort of confidence, like how well structured is the speech? How good is it? What are their qualifications? No effect on those things. This is what's affected. These kinds of things. People are bringing their true selves, basically. They're bringing themselves. They bring their ideas, but as themselves, with no, residue over them. So this is what's driving the effect or mediating the effect. So when I tell people about this, that our bodies change our minds and our minds can change our behavior and our behavior can change our outcomes, they say to me, it feels fake, right? So I said fake it till you make it. It's not me. I don't want to get there and then still feel like a fraud. I don't want to feel like an imposter. I don't want to get there only to feel like I'm not supposed to be here. And that really resonated with me because I want to tell you a little story about being an imposter and feeling like I'm not supposed to be here. When I was 19, I was in a really bad car accident. I was thrown out of a car, rolled several times. I was thrown from the car, and I woke up in a head injury rehab ward. And I had been withdrawn from college, and I learned that my IQ had dropped by 2 standard deviations, which was very traumatic. I knew my IQ because I had identified with being smart, and I had been called gifted as a child. So I'm taken out of college. I keep trying to go back. They say, you're not going to finish college. There are other things for you to do, but that's not going to work out for you. So I really struggled with this. And I have to say, having your identity taken from you, your core identity, and for me, it was being smart, having that taken from you, there's nothing that leaves you feeling more powerless than that. So I felt entirely powerless. I worked and worked and worked, and I got lucky and worked and got lucky and worked. Eventually, I graduated from college. It took me 4 years longer than my peers. And I convinced someone, my angel advisor, Susan Fisk, to take me on. And so I ended up at Princeton, and I was like, I am not supposed to be here. I am an imposter. And the night before my first year talk at Princeton is a 20-minute talk to 20 people. That's it. I was so afraid of being found out the next day that I called her and said, I'm quitting. She was like, you are not quitting because I took a gamble on you and you're staying. You're going to stay, and this is what you're going to do. You're going to fake it. You're going to do every talk that you ever get asked to do. You're just going to do it and do it and do it, even if you're terrified and just paralyzed and having an out-of-body experience until you have this moment where you say, oh my gosh, I'm doing it. Like, I have become this. I am actually doing this. So that's what I did. 5 years in grad school, 2 years, at Northwestern. I moved to Harvard. I'm at Harvard. I'm not really thinking about it anymore, but for a long time I had been thinking, not supposed to be here, not supposed to be here. So at the end of my first year at Harvard, a student who had not talked in class the entire semester, who I had said, look, you gotta participate or else you're gonna fail, came into my office. I really didn't know her at all. And she came in totally defeated, and she said, I'm not supposed to be here. And that was the moment for me because 2 things happened. One was that I realized oh my gosh, I don't feel like that anymore. I don't feel that anymore, but she does, and I get that feeling. And the second was, she is supposed to be here. Like, she can fake it, she can become it. She was like, yes, you are. You are supposed to be here, and tomorrow you're gonna fake it, you're gonna make yourself powerful, and you're gonna and you're gonna go into the classroom and you are gonna give the best comment ever. And she gave the best comment ever. And people turned around and they're like, oh my God, I didn't even notice her sitting there. She comes back to me months later, and I realized that she had not just faked it till she made it, she had actually faked it till she became it. So she had changed. And so I want to say to you, don't fake it till you make it, fake it till you become it. It's not do it enough until you actually become it and internalize. The last thing I'm going to leave you with is this: tiny tweaks can lead to big changes. So this is 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. Before you go into the next stressful evaluative situation, for 2 minutes, try doing this in the elevator, in a bathroom stall, at your desk behind closed doors. That's what you want to do. Configure your brain to cope the best in that situation. Get your testosterone up, get your cortisol down. Don't leave that situation feeling like, oh, I didn't show them who I am. Leave that situation feeling like, oh, I really feel like I got to say who I am and show who I am. So I want to ask you first, both to try power posing, and also I want to ask you to share this science, because this is simple. I don't have ego involved in this. Give it away, share it with people, because the people who can use it the most are the ones with no resources and no technology and no status and no power. Give it to them, because they can do it in private. They need their bodies, privacy, and 2 minutes, and it can significantly change the outcomes of their life. Thank you.
So, okay, what do you think? What do you think? Wow.
Yeah, because she answered my question,
And what that was,
that I have to lie to my brain. I was like, so you're trying to tell me I have to lie to my brain, and this way she answered that.
well, what do you mean that you were, explain to me a little more. Why do you think you feel necessary to lie to your brain? To tell it what?
To overcome.
To overcome what in your life or whatever? What did you need to tell your brain? You know what? Stop.
Insecurity.
Okay. She honestly, look, this is what I admire about Esmeralda. She tells us, this is my insecurity, I have a heavy accent. She's told us that time and time. And it makes me feel like people judge me. And you know what? People are very judgmental. And they do. I can tell you they do. I'm not telling you they're right, but they do, all right? I've been, working the best territories in Corpus and whatever. You go to Wilmington, Delaware, I don't look like they do, right? And I felt that too, when people just look at you go, you know what I mean? No. And you're over here going, yes, you have to, right? And so, it is about telling yourself, I'm gonna fake it till I make it. And once I make it, I'm gonna become it. And, I keep using the things I've done, and I hate to use those as examples because y'all have experienced this. I know you have. Somewhere along the line, you've said, I can do this. It's hard, but I'm going to do it. And a lot of it is self-realization too. Some of us are where we're at because that's where we want to be. I didn't have to do this. I don't have to do that, and we justify. And we just justify. Well, I'm fine where I'm at. No, you're not. Right? You wouldn't be in school, right? So something's off, right? And you're doing something about it. And so you're trying to tell yourself, this is not where I want to be, so I want to be here. Oh, to be there, I gotta be so-and-so, or act like so-and-so, oh, I'm just not like that. Well, you don't have to be so-and-so, you can be you. But you fake it till you make it sometimes. You have to trick your brain, like she says, right? And she says, maybe in the future you start saying, it's not how I sound, it's what comes out of my mouth, right? I know the most revered scientists and Nobel Prize winners and stuff that nobody even understands, but man, their work is on paper, their work is, they can tell you what they're, working on, molecules or, working on DNA structures or whatever that help us, with cancer diagnosis and stuff like that are super sharp, that one time said, what am I doing? You know what I mean? Am I chasing something after that I'm just not gonna get to, right? And everybody's had that. The SCI called me. They wanted me to interview here, and I'm like, what am I gonna do teaching? Well, no wonder they got in touch with me. I do have teaching, so I guess I could do it, and then customer service, are you crazy? I love that, that's what I did in pharmaceuticals, right? And I can tell you that it was because my, the vocabulary I had matched with the job description, probably. And then, well, you've been a pharmaceutical rep, so you've done marketing, sales, and then you've taught, and that's what we need. And it just, and then I get here, and I can tell you the first day, they didn't train me the way I thought I was gonna get trained. It was, here's Moodle, go off of it. I was like a first day student, going, holy moly, right? Now, this is very easy to follow now, right? For any of y'all, let alone me, right? But yeah, you have to have situations where you fake it, and then you realize that's what everybody else did to get here. You faked it till they made it. Then you make it, and somebody's trying to tell you something.